Best Podcast Ever is sponsored by the Gertzberg Law Firm, a full-service business law firm in Cleveland and Chagrin Falls that's changing the way businesses retain their attorneys. Go to gertzberglaw.com to learn more. While you're there, check out Cover My Six, a complete legal audit of the 6 areas that most often create or prevent business lawsuits and government investigations. Go to covermysix.com to learn how we keep you safe. Enjoy the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're about to listen to the best podcast ever recorded.
There is only one way to be successful, is doing what you do and doing well.
Hi, Alex Gertzberg.
Hi, Molly Gebler. How are you?
I'm great. And yourself?
Fantastic.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah, how are you?
I'm tired.
You are? Why?
I'm just still from the event, from the annual awards, just kind of, it's draining. And then you got to clean up and...
Can I tell you something, Molly Gebler?
Sure. Do you have fun?
You killed it. You killed it. That was awesome. You were a great MC.
Thank you.
I liked your shoes. They were very nice.
I just bought them. They're on my porch right now.
You did a shoe swap with someone because you liked her sparkly shoes.
Thank God it was the same size.
Did you?
Right?
Now, is that you weren't sure? Or?
We had tried them on in the lobby, and she didn't know I was going to pull her up on stage and switch shoes with her. But
and who was that?
That was Heather from the Lantern, Jean McKesh.
Heather Grice?
Heather Grice, yes.
We love Heather here.
We do. So we pulled her up, and that was that.
Swapped shoes in front of everyone.
I went home that night and ordered them, and they're sitting on my front porch as we speak. They are not Swarovski crystal, but look like they could. They're Steve Madden flats that just sparkle and shine. Could you see them?
Oh, yeah, I could
somebody
see
asked me to lift my leg up, and I lifted up just about as much as I could.
Dude, folks in Aurora Township could see them. They were sparkling.
I had fun. I thought James was a great guest.
Yeah,
He's
James
a hoot.
Matteo.
James Matteo. We should have him on the podcast. He's a great guy.
I thought you were going to
think that
lock that in.
I think that I had asked him to be on Countertop Time because he had said, you need your own show. And I said, I have my own show. And that's how that led to that. But we'll get him for whatever we want to get him for.
To be clear, given the opportunity to bring a very famous Hollywood actor on Best Podcast Ever, you were conflicted and went with your other show.
No, because it just went with the conversation at that time.
Really?
That was it. Ooh.
Did it?
Hey, yeah, he said I should have my own show. I don't.
You've got your own show. It's called Best Podcast Ever.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I would think.
I'm shaking my
visual.
Disapprovingly.
I don't understand why I just got a text, and I'm definitely on airplane mode. It says it right there. And I just got to text him. But I need to share an email with you that Please. I got today because I've never been explained like this. And I just thought it was super, super funny. So this is Diego from Flow Vodka. This is him doing a virtual introduction to another gentleman. And he says, attempting to explain the level of engagement that Molly pursues with her members and empowers her members to have with each other is me trying to explain how it feels to drive a Rolls-Royce Wrath. Rolls-Royce Wrath. It might be a kind of Rolls-Royce. You just have to drive one yourself to get the full effect. Molly is the best. So my response to the gentleman, not even meeting him, and Diego was, are you trying to suggest that this guy should give me a spin? Right?
There's something oddly salacious.
There was.
And
thank
sexual
God
about
this
that,
guy.
but,
so Diego then calls in tears. He's like, I almost got in an accident reading your response. And I was like, well, I hope the guy has a personality, like a,
yeah, I mean,
I hope
maybe
he has a sense of humor because
maybe you want to go for a spin with this dude.
If I'm going to be compared to a car,
right,
a Rolls Royce would definitely be my choice. in
Yeah.
cars. I wouldn't say I'm fast. I would say I'm classic, but expensive.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I think
what
I would
kind
like
of car
to,
would you be?
I think I'd like to be a Lambo.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or actually, I think I'd like to be a Harley if I could go that way.
Don't have cars.
No, I know, but can I?
You can't change the rules.
Why?
Because I made the rule.
Just for that, I'm going with Harley for sure.
I need to figure out, though, about
Airplane
this.
mode?
I apologize.
That's okay. We forgive you. Why don't you just turn the sound off along with airplane mode? Anyway, Flow Vodka was in full effect at the
Yes, they
business
were so great.
awards ceremony. That was awesome. I had my taste or 8 of the Flow, and it was a really good event. Molly, you did a great job.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I pride myself on that event each year. So
Well, and we might as well just use this opportunity to talk to all the folks that are listening to this and are business owners or employees of a business, which is really everybody,
Yes.
and except for the unemployed, and who and for those businesses that are not in the
Covering
Chagrin
it all,
Valley,
aren't you?
yeah. It was one of those things where you go into a event and you see all of your fellow members of the chamber, and they're all like friends of yours. You know,
Yes.
I've been in the chamber now I'm going my 7th year, and over the course, but it didn't take long. It took maybe a year or two before I tried to get to know as many folks as possible, and everybody is so friendly, and everybody is so taken with this spirit of we're all in this together, and we're all in this.
We're all in this together.
Thank you. Is that a thing? Is that a
High School
song?
Musical? I think. Yeah, it's a song.
Sounds right. No, but it really, there is a sense of camaraderie and fellowship in this chamber that has to be
agree.
experienced, really. To quote Diego there, you have to just kind of do it.
You have to give it a spin.
And-
Take it for a ride, folks.
Right.
It is. I think it's depending on what size business you are, you're looking at an investment of $150 to $250 to $300, somewhere in that area, depending on the size of your business. And I gotta say, you can make that back just in offerings, discounts that you give. I don't know.
Well, and people love doing business with their fellow members is the thing.
Yes, I agree with that.
This law firm represents so many people in that room. You know, in that
I can't
theater.
name any, though,
I can't.
Alex.
I can't. But we've done business with so many fellow chamber members, and we usually cut them a deal. By the way, folks,
you
know?
can use my name.
Yeah.
But yes.
So yeah, it's good. You've got a good thing going there, Molly. Nice job.
Thank you.
Nice
It's
job.
not your, as I said in my talk, it's not your grandpa's chamber. Just
Yeah.
it's not the stuffy.
stuffy.
Yeah,
Right.
It's different. It's, yeah.
So did you get to hang out with Jimmy Matteo other than on stage?
I've known him
Really?
for a couple years now, so I have hung out with him in the past, and
So let's set the stage here, folks that don't know. This is James Matteo, who was in Band of Brothers and Hooked and Basketball Diaries and a whole bunch of other things.
Law and Order.
Law and Order, right? Twice.
That's a given.
Yeah, and his buddies with Leo DiCaprio and
Yes.
Mark Wahlberg and
From the Bronx.
Dustin Hoffman and Molly, you got to spend like an hour interviewing him on stage.
I did. I just
chumming it
released
up.
that video of the whole interview and all the awards and stuff. So
Yeah, and you asked some hard-hitting questions.
yeah,
Molly.
it was like a fact finding.
Yes, you were like a beat reporter.
I'm gonna be honest with you.
Please.
I just feel like the guests there wanted the question, like they wanted the nitty gritty, like what's it like to hang out with Dustin and who's on your cell phone? Like they don't want to know about the hardships about acting. For God's sakes, they want to know what is Leo like? What is he? So I asked those kind of questions.
Well, you are such a fan geek about Hollywood that you really are the perfect interviewer. You're right. You channeled the questions that everybody wanted to ask. So how did you know him already?
So he did an acting class in the film festival's headquarters, Chagrin Documentary Film Festival's headquarters. So I met him. He knew Marianne Ponce, also another guest from the podcast, and so I've just met him through the film festival.
Okay. And then did you guys start hanging out and dating, or?
Well, I wouldn't say hanging out. We're going to hang out because we're going to redo the Eyes Wide Shut.
I'm so glad I'm so glad you said that. So here, I almost peed my pants when you said Eyes Wide Shut because you tried to quote it.
I knew.
No, stop. Let's describe what happened here. Yeah. Because you attempted to invoke a scene or the scenes of Eyes Wide Shut, but you quoted you brought up neither of the correct actors in it.
Wasn't Nicole Kidman in Eyes Wide Shut?
Yeah, but you didn't say Nicole Kidman.
I said it later. I said,
it was Tom Cruise
and
Nicole Kidman, and you said neither of them. You said who was it that you said?
I'm going to look that back up again.
Oh, geez. That sucks that I can't remember. I remember saying, I'm so busting your balls on that.
What film was it supposed to be about? I can't even remember. I'm going to have to go watch it.
What film was Eyes Wide?
What were we talking about that led us there?
You were clearly trying to talk about a sex scene, like a really crazy...
I don't think we were. I took it that way with the Eyes Wide Shut comment, but I don't think we were talking about a sex scene. I don't know. We're going to have to revisit that. He enjoyed that too. And then he was all for it.
I wish I could remember which two actors you said were in it, and neither of them were the two actors.
Oh, hey. And I believe I said I didn't do research on them. I did research on James. Oh, my goodness. Anywho, what did you do this weekend? Anything good?
Yeah, I had a great weekend. I had an amazing weekend, actually. Have you ever been to the Masonic Auditorium?
I have.
Recently?
No. Samantha used to sing, and that's where they did their practice.
Yeah, I expected it to look like a church. And on Saturday night, my best friend in the whole wide world, Chris Rader, he drove up from Indy, and we've been friends for 25 years. We used to tour. We used to go on fish tour together, and Chris and I have had the greatest adventures crisscrossing the country following fish around, like for 200 shows. We used to get into a car on the last day of college, and we would just start driving west, and we wouldn't get out of the car permanently until school started again, Wow. And so we saw every great major city in America just because Fish was playing there. And we did this for 2 or 3 years. Anyway, so he came up here over the weekend because this band called Umphrey's McGee was playing. Which, folks, if you've never heard of Umphrey's McGee, and Molly, clearly you haven't, they're so freaking amazing, right? Okay. Very eclectic, mostly hard rock, right? Intense improvisational jams, big giant rock jams. Some might call it anthemic, like an anthem kind of a jam, you know what I mean? Just really whips the crowd into a frenzy. But then there's also like jazz, and there's some reggae that they play, and there's other genres that they play. And Chris Rader and I used to see them before anybody had ever even heard of them. And now they sell out arenas.
People still haven't heard.
Back in the day, Rader and I saw them in Columbus, Ohio. And it was like this empty bar, and it was like he and I and like 3 of our friends and maybe like 5 other people in this empty bar. And these guys got up and killed it, just jammed out there.
So what is Alex Gertzberg like at a concert like that? Like, are you standing and jumping? Tell me.
Well, here. So, but before I do, in that bar in Columbus, probably 2001, 2002, I looked over. Oh yeah, after their show, after their gig, there's nobody there, and they want to keep drinking. So the band Umphrey McGee sat down, and we did shots with them in this Columbus bar. And Brendan Bayless, the lead guitar player, his favorite drink is a car bomb. You know what a car bomb is? I do. So we did car bombs with this dude, and I looked over at him and I said, "Hey man, you guys are going to get huge one day. It's empty bars today, but I shit you not, you guys are going to be selling out giant arenas one day." And sure enough, that's what they do now. And they have
these. Masonic really considered a giant venue?
No, but they've sold out giant arenas. I'm just saying in general they do. Okay. The answer to your question is that I get somewhat.
Are you mosh pitting? Are you?
There's generally at the Masonic Auditorium there are seats, right? So we're standing. You know, depending on the intensity of the groove, it could be anywhere from like a head nod, like that, you know, to like a full body, you know, funk jam, to when it gets really intense, I'm jumping around. You know, I'm jumping around like a fool, you know, up and down, and a lot of hands thrown up in the air, a lot of screaming.
I have not been, the last concert I went to was Elton John's concert 4 years ago.
So he doesn't get too crazy, but when he does, what's Molly Gebler doing?
I'm up and dancing, for sure.
Shaking your booty a little bit.
Yeah. You know what I did? I did just over the weekend. I watched Madonna's Truth or Dare documentary.
Really?
Yeah, and it's so funny because like when it came out, like
so controversial.
But it really was.
Well,
maybe
now
just
it's very tame, but back then,
I guess she was kissing her band guys in bed.
Weren't there girls kissing each other in that too? That's what.
No.
And there was.
She may have kissed somebody, but.
And I think the other thing is, there was like interracial making out over there, which was unusual at that time. Yeah,
probably. But her body was unbelievable. Holy shit! Like she was smoking hot. Oh my gosh! And just her whole concert, she just didn't stop moving the entire concert. It was. Yeah, I just wanted to see it because I had never seen it before, and just great music. Like I just forgot about just the great music that. Yeah. Back in the day, I don't really know what she does now, to be honest with you. But I'm talking about like a Virgin and the Vogue time.
She's got to be getting up there, right? I
mean, she was just recently 50s, on 60? James Cork singing in the car with James.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and she's
interesting.
Yeah.
So wait, did you like Motley Crue?
I've heard that Sam and John just watched that new Netflix.
It looks interesting.
Sam doesn't know anything about Motley Crue, and she said it was a great documentary. Yeah. But there was some not so nice scenes with Ozzy Osbourne.
Ooh, yeah. I'm a really big fan of like rock star biopics.
Well, wait until I am doing a special at the Chagrin Documentary Film Festival, and that is it'll be music.
What do you mean?
Documentaries.
Are you?
So we're bringing some well-known documentaries about people that in the music industry. So it'll be I'm kind of creating that Studio 54 vibe in one of the theaters, so that when you walk in, the music's going to be pumping, and then these docs will be showing. Because I just feel like some people are nervous about documentaries, but if they go to one that they would know the person, or like let's say the Motley Crue one. Actually, I dreamed it when I saw the Eagles one. That's what got me to think this way. That if somebody goes to the Chagrin Documentary Film Festival and sees an Eagles documentary, they'll be like, "Oh my gosh, documentaries aren't so bad. They're not boring and about sad things all the time. There's other ones out there, and that might get them into a
Yeah.
documentary, and then filter into the film festival to see other films. But at least it gets them there and gets them to see somebody that they know about. It just might be a different group of people who maybe don't go to the film festival.
So do you know which ones are coming?
We're trying to get a few. I'm not going to release any of that, but there'll be good ones for sure. And it's not going to be the background dancer. It's like
Did you like the band called The Band? Did you ever like them?
Who that is? No, I don't know them. You like the.
Well, there's a documentary about them called the Last Waltz, and it's really just a concert. But you know Martin Scorsese, the director, he made that movie, and that was his. And the story goes that he was strung out on cocaine after doing. I think it was Raging Bull or something like that, or I don't know if that was his, but some giant, I think that was his, some giant successful movie, and he had like writer's block and couldn't come up with anything. And then the lead singer of the band came to him and said, "We're doing a final tour and we want you to make the movie of it." And he did, and that brought him out of his cocaine funk.
We do want to do the David...
and Goliath?
No, he's the
Sanborn?
lead singer of Goo Goo Dolls. David?
No idea.
He just did a documentary that's supposed to be very, very good.
Interesting.
We digress. But, looking forward to that.
So, Molly Gebler.
Yeah.
Do you know anything about Brazil?
I don't.
You don't?
No,
I think you're about to learn
the music is
something.
great, I know.
The music is great.
Yes.
You're about to learn a whole lot about Brazil because that's where our guests are from. Fernando Bertero and his lovely wife, Christina Bertero, are the owners and operators of this really cool business called Fully Promoted, which does marketing and branding and embroidering and all kinds of related such things for businesses, small and mid-sized businesses mostly. They're on the west side, but they service all of Northeast Ohio. North Olmsted, I believe, is where they are. And they're really cool. Fernando and I are both on the board of Cozy. And Christina, you and Christina will have a lot in common because you are both heavily involved with chambers of commerce.
Yes.
She is the president, I believe, of the North Olmsted Chamber of Commerce. And they are just awesome people. I was excited to get them on because Chris Zierke and I and our better halves had dinner with them once and had just the best time. And I said, you two need to be on our podcast. And they said, yes. So here they are. Now, you know, Molly, you know what this means? It means the Brazilian to non-Brazilian ratio here is exactly 1 to 50-50.
Yes.
It's 1 to 1. So we are not
Because
outnumbered.
the last time you were outnumbered with the grandma
to
non-grandma ratio.
That's right.
I just became a new grandma of twins.
Okay.
I did.
You're a grandma?
I know. Yes.
No.
Yes.
Shocking, right?
I know. Thank you. Thank
twins?
you. Of twins. I'll show you the latest.
Oh my goodness.
You guys aren't grandparents
The
yet, right?
latest.
No, of course not. You're way too young to be grandparents.
Look at that.
Oh my.
Are those the most adorable?
Now, how did that happen?
You know what? It just happened.
Fernando,
I need
this
explanation.
This is
My
a great
daughter and her
question.
son-in-law.
We are completely ready to be a grandma, grandpa, but
I am
the
not.
How old are your
girls,
girls? How old are they?
the oldest 29, 25, 22.
Okay. We're
But,
she's
you know,
26. So.
Yeah. The thing is, we are only grown cats.
Is the
We have grown cats.
is the 29-year-old married?
No.
All right,
No one.
I'm willing to bet 29. What's her name?
Giovanna.
Giovanna. Oh my goodness, what a beautiful name.
Yeah.
Giovanna, I bet your mom and your dad give you so much crap about getting married and having kids and giving them grandkids. And I'm going to tell you something right now. Don't listen to them. Whenever you're ready, whenever the time comes.
Of course, you don't need to be married to have kids these days.
No, of course not. I'm just saying, everyone's
I'm not
got
sure
time.
I want to talk to her about this.
Everyone's got time.
I know.
Yeah. So, by the way, Christina, you and Molly have something big in common. Did you know
Really?
it? Yeah.
And what is that?
We're women.
Right.
Okay.
And also,
Perfect.
Well, I'm the executive director of the Chagrin Valley Chamber.
You are.
I am.
That's
And
wonderful.
you are the president.
I'm the
yes.
president for North Homestead Chamber.
Yes. Okay. Is that a 1 or 2 year commitment?
3 years.
3 years. Ooh.
Yeah.
Wow.
serious business.
So yeah.
Okay.
But they have a kind of a huge umbrella. That's the power of more. That's what they call
Yes.
power of more. So you have, I believe, 9 chambers of commerce under the power of more.
Okay.
And North Homestead is one of.
Okay, so we
None of them.
are 13 different communities.
Oh, this
that
is wonderful.
we that the Chagrin Valley Chamber represents.
Isn't that amazing?
So yeah.
It
We're
is.
pretty-
Does the power of more, is that West Side Chambers only?
Is well, for now, yes.
Okay.
But if you think the farthest east chamber of commerce is Cuyahoga Valley, and you go until North Coast, that is North Coast Chamber is Avon, Avon Lake, and Sheffield Village.
Okay.
Okay.
So you have all the other cities, Fairview Park, North Homestead, North Ridgeville, and all of this, Berea, Parma. So I would say a little bit start to come to
But
east
they all
side.
have their own
They have
individual chamber.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Gotcha.
And the 9 chambers now all together is part of Power
Okay.
of More.
And you guys are all with Cozy
Well, Fernando and I are both on the board.
on the
of
board. So the
yeah.
chamber, Chagrin Valley Chamber, was the first chamber that
Got involved with
partnered
Cozy.
with Cozy years and years ago.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And I know the power of more is trying to get more involved with Cozy.
Good.
And I think I mentioned that in our last meeting.
It's a different world with
a
the
completely different-
chambers
yes.
and Cozy as it was in the past. It's a little different.
Okay, so let's, and we're going to come back to the chambers. I want to talk more about that, but I want to go back to Brazil.
You
I want to go back to Brazil. I was just in Argentina.
I know.
I'm going to
and
tell
I
you all
wanna
about
hear,
it.
yeah,
I'll tell you all about
exactly.
it, but not here because
Not here.
our listeners want to hear about Brazil.
Okay.
First.
What is that?
So there you are, Fernando and Christina, just minding your own business in Brazil. Christina, you are a lawyer there, I
I
believe,
used
yes?
to be exactly.
And Fernando, you were
I'm a general manager. I'm an executive
in Brazil.
in Brazil.
And you're there until your 20s?
I wish. We were there until I was 33. So San Christina was significantly younger. Than
Okay,
me.
good.
Okay, of course.
Now, your accent is not as strong as Christina's. Why
Oh,
is that?
yeah, well.
So let's go back even further, Alex. and
Okay.
Molly. So let's start with me. So I lived in the United States as a child.
Okay.
When I was from 3 to 6 years old, and then from 8 to 13 years old, accompanying my parents who did their master's and PhD here.
Oh.
So that's why my
That's why.
accent, some people pick it up, some people don't. It varies depending on who you speak to.
Okay.
So my family then went back to Brazil, and I, finished my education. I, graduated in mechanical automotive engineering back in God knows when, and then entered the workforce, and then had my quasi MBA, and then started working for a variety of different companies. And in 1997, I was asked to come to the U.S. to manage a company in the company in Memphis,
Okay.
Tennessee. So that's when we came. So Christina and I talked about it, and she said, "Yep, let's go." Boom. So we had 2 girls at the time.
Wow.
I was very young and
Her
naive.
view of the story is a little bit less.
Were you?
No.
Were you that accepting?
Well, I was younger and naive. So I said, when Fernando said, "Oh, the company wants to move us to the United States," I said, "Yes, let's go. It's going to be great." Couldn't speak one single word in English.
Oh, wow.
And work full time, never stay home with kids. So we decided to come. I would say 2 weeks before we step inside the airplane, I figured out that I was pregnant again of my number 3. So we came.
Who is affectionate? A little souvenir from Memphis, by
Yes.
the way.
So we came. Was extremely excited, but very difficult. So I would say I cried for a good 2 years.
Oh.
Yeah?
Wait, what do you mean you cried for 2 years? Like missing Brazil?
Oh, no.
What were you crying about?
Like, you know what? For example, I love to read. Love to read, always. We live very close to a Barnes and Noble. I had no English to read. So my the most advanced book was Winnie the Pooh. So let's put it this way.
That's a good book.
Yeah,
That's
you
a
know,
good book.
it is
lot of
a
life
perfect
lessons.
book, but I think that all, the learning process
Sure.
was extremely hard. You have no way to communicate with each other. So we have some, maybe for another time, with some very, very funny stories. So for just one.
No, now's the time.
Yeah, now
That's
is
what
the
we
time.
want.
So my first week on by myself, Fernando goes to work. Gigi, my oldest one, goes to school. So here I am with Victoria, and I go to the grocery store, my first grocery store experience. And I look and I said, okay, we need to go to K. Roger. Because I saw Kmart, and I think K. Roger. It's not Kroger, it's K. Roger. So let's go to K. Roger. So I step inside the K. Roger, and I said, okay, I need to buy something, and was everything different, everything not familiar. So I bought what I knew. So I bought bread, and I bought lettuce, and I bought tomatoes, and I swear to God that I bought cat food, and I thought it was tuna. So, yeah, it was pretty sad. So I go back home, make a big sandwich, and I said, oh, these Americans are
This tuna's terrible.
So Fernando comes back home that night and say, so do we have a cat? And I said, oh, no. So this was my first week.
Oh, my goodness.
Do I need to say something more?
Gosh, I wish I had an excuse like that for the things that I cook up. Like that are supposed to be food.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
So we landed in Memphis. We stayed in Memphis for about 2.5 years. And so at that point, we had a life decision to make. Because I was partially raised here, I love the United States, right? So we could either go back to the United States, and the company offered us a couple of different positions. We could go to India, we could go to China, we could go back to Brazil, or we could go to the UK, or we could stay here. So from a long-term perspective, from a short-term perspective, probably the UK would have been my call, right? But from a longer-term perspective, we didn't want to go back to Brazil. Brazil is a very complicated country in terms of personal security, economic development, social disparity, so on and so forth. So we wanted to stay here longer term because we loved it and also because of the girls. So I took a job in the U.S., in Columbus, Indiana. And we stayed there for about 5 years in the process of obtaining our green card. And then, subsequent to that, we decided to move to Western Pennsylvania, where I managed a company in Western Pennsylvania. And then we came to Cleveland. We came to Cleveland about 11 years ago, 2008. So
Yes.
yeah.
Why did you come to Cleveland? What was the
Job.
attraction? Okay.
Job. So I had a job opportunity here in Cleveland, working for Bendix, which is in Elyria, and I stayed there for about 6 or 7 years. And at that point, Christina and I had several conversations. The girls were getting older and bigger, and Gigi was out of the house. She went to Pitt in Pittsburgh. Victoria was entering high school. Yeah, Victoria was entering high school. So it says we need to start thinking about what you're going to do because, I don't think picking up the legal world in the U.S. is probably a smart move because it's so different.
It's a lot to learn.
It is a lot.
You know how it is,
Yes.
Alex. You're a lawyer.
Yeah.
It's huge,
Right.
huge change. So we started looking for, how do we get into the business world because I had a lot of business experience. And that's how kind of we got into the Embroidery, which is now have become fully promoted. So in 2012,
The name was Embroidery.
yeah. So we acquired the franchise location in North Olmsted, where we're still based today. You've been there, Molly. Please, you're welcome to come.
Thank you.
It's a really
Thank
cool
you.
shop they have there.
yeah.
Okay.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah. So I actually left my job to start working with Christina, and about 6 months later, I got fired.
Wow.
Fired by
From
Christina.
Christina?
By
me.
Christina.
you fired your husband?
Oh my God! Of course.
It was interesting
Man,
because
that-
you talk about
awkward.
life learning experiences. We could not work together.
Interesting.
So I kind of jokingly say I got fired by her, but tongue in cheek. But it was pretty close to either we saved the marriage or we saved the business.
Wow.
What?
Yeah.
Let's take a pause.
Dive into
Let's,
that.
yeah, let's drill down a little bit,
Yeah.
shall we?
Yeah.
So on the day that you were fired,
So wait, so you opened the shop
I opened exactly.
and he
I
was still
opened the
working for someone
business,
else.
And he was working. I said, okay, the dream here will be, I will grow this business, and at some point we are going. So this is the dream. Fernando is coming. We are gonna grow a little bit more. We are gonna sell the business, and we're going to Hawaii having a Mai Tai together. Well,
it's a very specific dream
It
they've got.
It doesn't quite work that way.
Down
No,
to
I
the
like
it
drink.
didn't work that way.
I like it.
Exactly. So, but the time that Fernando is saying that he came was extremely difficult because we are both deep personalities. We are, but at the same time we are completely different. So, Fernando is the number. He is the metrics, the numbers, the organization, and I am the La La Land. Ooh, I know everybody, and
Sounds
I'm
like
the
it's
people person.
very your right brain, he's left brain.
Yeah.
basically.
Exactly that. So that time was extremely difficult for both of us. So how we are going to work this together? And he wasn't completely convinced. And he said, you know what? I'm back to the corporate life.
There was a lot of conflict of how we would do business.
Yeah.
I'm a very results-driven individual and very short-term results-driven individual. And growing your business is not necessarily a short-term driven enterprise. So I had come from the corporate world. And plus, in the corporate world, you got, an infrastructure behind your back. And when you're in the small business world, you are the infrastructure. Right? So you take the trash out, you take care of the phone lines, you connect the internet, you reset the router, you talk to the customer, so on and so forth. So these are the things that, we and Christina was very focused on learning none of us had been in the promotional materials world before, nor the embroidery world before, nor the screen printing world before. So everything is new.
Yeah.
So there's a steep learning curve, and there's a steep learning curve of us dealing with each other professionally. And so it didn't work out. Right?
Well, so you left the business, and Christina, you were going to run it entirely on your own.
Yes.
Does that, in the run-up to that decision, right, and say like the month or two before it, I mean, how vicious was the conflict? Because I heard you say conflict, and and what were you guys arguing about?
Okay, no, I don't think. I think that was a very, how do you say this? Smooth. Because
I joke about it, say I was fired, but it wasn't as
Okay.
You know what?
Yeah.
The
It's
reality,
kind of
the reality is, I don't even think that we talk about this. Okay, this is not working. We never express completely open. This is not working. We know that time wasn't working. Now, what's happened is he had the offer. And he got the offer.
Oh, I see. Okay.
You know what I mean? So when he had the offer, okay, you come work here on this company, he just accepted. I was quiet. He said, good luck. Go, honey. Bye. Do you want me to prepare
Don't
your
let the door
lunchbox?
hit you in the ass when you leave.
So then what happens that brought you back in?
So kind of interesting because I went back into the corporate world, and so one company I ended up working for was a family-owned company. Long story short, he wanted a lot of changes in the business, but he wasn't ready to let go, right, of the reins. So so it didn't work out. Ended up working for another company. So I worked about 2 years one company, 2 years in another. In January of 2017, the second company I was working for had a huge restructure, and I got downsized. So story of corporate America, right?
Yeah.
And so and at that point, Christina and I had been talking about the business for quite some time. How's the business going? The financials was not as strong as we wanted it to be. The focus wasn't as strong, and Christina kind of said to me, wait a minute, maybe, doors close on one end but open on the other. So let's talk about this for a minute. So we sat down actually for weeks. I didn't go looking for a job. We sat down for weeks and we kind of started designing what this would look like. So Christina's right. So she's very social. She sells well. She connects with people very well.
Very creative.
Very creative.
Oh, thank you.
Very engaging.
Yep.
Right. And I'm sort of we're both high D's in terms of a disc profile. She's a significantly higher I than I am, and I know I force myself to a high C as well. So I'm not naturally a high C, but I force myself because I know that's what I need. So I know I need the structure to function. So we talked about this, and we said, okay, so let's make this work. So we designed a structure so that we knew what customers we were going to go after. We knew what customers we were going to get rid of, right? We knew what products we were going to focus on. And we decided, who's going to do what, right? And we also knew that we had the wrong people on the bus. So we're a small company, having the right people on the bus and aligned to, we design our values. What do we believe in? Why are we here? Right?
And that just making a parenthesis here, and there was only one point that I was absolutely strong about, and I said, the moment that you say I'm in, you have to be 110% in. I don't want to hear, oh, I found another job, or somebody made this offer for me. It is a no. For me, that was crucial. So if you are in, we are going to change the lifestyle that we had, because, of course, the big fat checks not coming anymore. So we had to change a lot of things to make this reality. But I said, I need to know 100% that you are going to be doing this and we are going to do this together. And I think that the moment that this happened, that was, kind of, I felt secure. Okay, this is our life. This is what we are going to do. Yeah.
I have to tell you something. There is a fearlessness about you two that comes through in your story. And I see it in immigrant. I'm an immigrant too. I was not born here. I was born in Moldova. Right?
Okay.
And so my parents were just like you in the sense, especially you. They came here with no knowledge of the English language or of how to live and do business and shop and really do anything. And so they went and they learned English. My dad went to business school. The immigrant experience is based on fearlessness, and people don't really appreciate that very much. And then when the immigrant becomes a business owner, there's a whole nother level of fearlessness there. And you had some amount of security, and you were used to some amount of security, Fernando, and you could have gone back into the corporate world. You had 3 daughters at this point, and you decide, I'm going to stake my entire future on this nugget, this franchise that we bought, and we're going to let it all ride on that. In the same way that you had made that call when you decided to leave everything you knew in Brazil and live here. So I commend you for that, but I really think that is something that people in general don't appreciate about immigrants. you know, is that there is just this comfort that comes with the life that you've come to know, and there's an easiness about it. And then when you throw yourself into a whole nother culture, and then you throw yourself into a whole nother business, it's like a tightrope walk without a safety net underneath.
I will add something, because we said something in the car today that's extremely I don't know if it's just cultural, or because the fact that we are immigrants, or if this is who we are. I said, we were driving today, and I said, we were talking about something completely different about another person, and I said, you know what, I don't understand. If you are not happy where you are, you move. You are not a tree, right? You are not stuck there.
Right.
You just go. And you know, I'm always so afraid, and this is me with my life, so afraid to be stuck and not try and not, because I think that what is there, I need to leave my comfort zone sometimes, and say, okay, what is there is better.
Right.
I'm gonna get there. So, and that's very funny, because when we bought the business, I said, oh my gosh, I signed all the papers and I put all my money.
Yeah.
There is no way back.
Right.
There is no way back. It's just keep pushing.
Do you
Keep
think when
pushing.
you guys established, because you did it before and it didn't work out, do you think when you established your different duties that was also a helpful time or a helpful thing to put into this time that made it successful?
There were a couple of things, and you know, there's actually something we laugh about. So we have a conference room, probably twice the size of this room we're in here.
Oh, fancy.
No.
Don't give me conference room envy.
No.
Well, you've been there, so it's
You have
nothing
nice
to be. It's
a nice conference room.
So Christina's office is in there, and she put me across maybe 5 feet from her, sitting on a desk. And about a week into it, over the weekend, the problem is she cannot. She thinks out loud.
Yes.
So. And quite frankly, I'm not really interested in what she's thinking as I'm doing my work, right?
This is not nice.
Sounds like my office.
He's trying to
tonight.
focus.
I know.
What he means is he's trying to concentrate.
Oh,
Well,
thank
you should let me advocate for you.
And what I hear is you saying is she's talking too much. That's what we hear.
Exactly.
Pretty
All right,
much.
go
Yeah,
play.
yeah, pretty much. So then I said,
Or
you know
she
what?
won't be quiet.
Yeah.
So, and here's the thing. I get distracted very easily. So, you know,
I know
squirrel.
nothing
Squirrel.
about.
Yeah.
I know
Right.
nothing about that.
No,
You know
no.
what I'm saying? So,
Yes.
So I says, okay, this is not going to work. So I came in the office. She did not know I was coming into the office for the weekend, and I moved the desk from one corner to the other, the opposite corner, diagonally opposed to where she was. So I said, well, hopefully this will maybe mute her, right?
How did that work out?
Well,
not
the
well.
following week, I rearranged the shelving of the whole office, so there was a dividing line between both of us,
Excellent.
right?
Excellent.
2 or 3 weeks later,
Sorry.
I moved offices. So, so it's just something that, you know, I need my space.
Yeah.
And you know, I don't have a problem in sharing my space. What I have a problem, and this is dead serious, right?
Right.
To this date, and people in the office will joke about this because she's working, and my nickname is Fe, you know, short for Fernando, Fe, F-E. So
Oh, it's so funny. That's funny.
that's what you think, right?
Okay.
So she's in her office, and I hear the Fe. And people in the office,
the
right?
employees that will say, "Faye,"
And
everybody
they repeat it.
going.
They start repeating it because it's an open
Right.
floor
Environment, yeah.
environment. So, and then nothing happens. So she just calls my name out loud, right? And then she goes back to work. But if you respond, then there's a thought process. So I've learned to ignore the Faye. Right? If she really wants to speak to me, she'll come to my office, like any human being does. If I need to speak to Alex, I'll walk to his office and say, "Hey, Alex, you got a minute?"
See, now this is where the marital working together thing I would perceive as very problematic, because obviously Christina knows that she can walk over and talk to you, but she's decided in that situation that she needs to say, "Faye, over here." And so now there's an impasse, you see, Molly. This is where the marital emotions and conflict I could see as arising. So really what it turns into is a battle of wills, because I'm guessing, Christina, you're thinking, yeah, I know I can walk over there. I'm calling you from here for a reason. And he's like, "No, I'm not a dog. You're going to come over here." And then it's...
Yep.
Is Christina the boss, though? Are you the boss?
Heck yes, I am. Okay. No, but
so then he better get up and go to her office.
Okay, there is let me just say something here. But that's the difference between when we were together the first time and the second time.
Yeah.
When we made the decision, we are going to do this. Okay, now there is no way back.
Right.
So now, whatever is the difference that we have, no matter how irritated we are with each other, the business comes first. This will work.
Right.
We have no way.
Right.
This needs to happen.
But Alex,
So,
your
I drink
point
wine.
Yeah, a lot of
Wish
it.
I'd have had some.
Your point
Next
of
time.
Your point of it's the power, the power of the will of each other. It really doesn't come into that, because it's accepting each other's idiosyncratic behaviors. We all have them.
Yeah.
Right.
You
So
all have
when
them,
she
yeah.
calls Faye, and I don't respond, right? Either she has two options. Either I get up and I go talk to him, I park it until next time I see him, or I say, "Hey, I need your help here on something that I have on my computer. I have a phone call." So, but she does get up and go over there, right? So it's not at your command, and we've learned to discuss this.
Do you want water, Fernando?
No, I'm good.
Did you leave it out there? You want me to get it?
That he's fine.
Okay.
He's good.
So here,
He'll get
I
up
rest
and,
my case.
Yeah, he'll get up and get it himself
you know
if he
you know
needs
where
it.
it's
He's good.
I know where's that. Yeah.
I liked the way you described the second go-round together as you guys sitting down and identifying your vision, who your key clients are, who the clients that you were going to drop are, and you were a lot more strategic about it. And since so many of our collective clients are businesses and business owners, right? I would like to hear you describe how that initial strategizing converted into the business that you have today. How close is the vision of a few years ago to the business that you have now? And talk about the business that you have now in relation to that strategy.
So yeah, good question. So the first thing we did, quite frankly, we reached out to a couple of smart people that own small businesses, were being very successful, and one of them said to us, "Have you read Traction?"
Ooh, yeah.
Right.
That's a great book.
That
Gino
was-
Whitman.
Yes,
Exactly.
Gino Whitman.
So I read
that
Traction,
was-
and I said no. He said, "Well, read Traction and call me later." So we read it, and I didn't call him later because I knew exactly what I needed to do. So Traction, for those who haven't read, is a strategy for dummies, right? So
EOS system.
Yeah, the EOS system. So what I did then was I started, filling out what's the 10-year goal, right? What do we want to be 10 years from today, right? So it's a pie in the sky. Then what's our 3-year plan? What's our 1-year plan? And while you're answering those questions, some very difficult questions arise. What are your core values? Why do you exist? Who are you servicing and why? And, we had some pretty long nights over wine and food at home, arguing about it, arguing in a good sense, right? Arguing about, this is what we need to do. These are the type of customers that we want to go after, and these other, by elimination, are not the ones. So as a result, we documented our core values, our targets, and then we kind of we started talking about what about us? What are our roles in this organization and this vision?
And two, because just a parenthesis, but and two, because one of the most important aspects about this was hire and fire. Mm-hmm. You hire and fire. Today, we do this based on our core values. Mm-hmm. And you don't realize how important it is. Why a team is not working? Well, do they share the same core values that we have? And that was another big thing.
Yeah, so as a result of that, we actually rotated 100% of our workforce, right? So it just wasn't working. It wasn't working.
So meaning the staff you had at that point
were the wrong
wasn't
people.
matching your core values.
You have to
Absolutely
think about that time was only me. Mm-hmm. Before, it was only me. So I was, let's say, the boss, right, with these people working with me. Now, Fernando comes is a completely different dynamic, is a completely different personality. Now we start to clash.
Yeah.
So
right.
So during this is probably a 2 or 3 month process that we took, and very very quickly it became clear that the people we had in the business were not going to work. So they ended up exiting the business, and we, through a very difficult, I think, phase, we had a very hard time hiring the right people on the bus. Now, who's ever been in business for 5 minutes knows you never get 100% match of what you want versus what you have. So you got to do an 80-20 and kind of say, okay, these are the things I need. So, we have one of our core values, because of the business we're in, is attention to detail.
Right.
So if you don't have attention to detail, you're not going to be successful. And the other thing that it's part of our core values. If you're not willing to have fun in our job, you better find a job somewhere else, because we are a fun group, right? And we put customers first. Sometimes that's painful and difficult and whatever, but it's what we do. And we were able to document and you asked your original question was, how far are you from your vision, right? I would say, the last 2 years have been difficult for us because we were having to adjust to new people coming on board, and you don't hire a person and they start working, the moment they land. You got to train, you got to adjust, you got to adapt. And also for us, it was a change in, we implemented policies that would, doing an 80-20 of our business, would eliminate the non-profitable piece of our business, right? We're all business people here. There's part of that business where it's non-profitable or it doesn't match what you want in terms of your vision. And executing that was difficult for us, right? It was difficult for me. To this date, without mentioning names, Christina today had a person come in who absolutely is not part of our core values as a customer, but I'm not said without mentioning names.
Do you guys use
and still we're servicing them. So
right.
It's how do you deal with that, or how do you deal with that?
How do you identify whether your customer shares your core values?
So a couple of things. We first of all, we're a business-to-business enterprise. Mm-hmm. So that, by default, eliminates the consumer, right? So if Molly comes in with her blanket and wants, your grandkid's name's embroidered on it.
I got one of those.
Yeah. Sorry, Molly. Not happening, right? Yeah. Because that's not what we do.
Right.
Okay.
But yet you do have a storefront.
We do have
So aren't you getting those people coming in?
Interesting. Great question.
Thank you.
Great question. So
I'm done.
No, that's a great question. So if you go to our location, we do have a storefront. We have been planning in leaving that location for more of a semi-industrial park, right? The problem is cost versus benefit. And we have decided a year ago that we're going to stay there for a few more years because moving is very traumatic for any business.
Right.
I don't care what people say and think. It's, oh, just pick up and move down the road. It is traumatic, right? It's disruptive. So we decided strategically that, we were not going to disrupt the business. We're going to stay in the storefront. Now, if you go to our storefront, the moment you walk in, it's not your retail front. You walk in and you have that, oh, this is not what I'm expecting. So, we're very candid with our walk-ins. So a person comes in and wants to have the blanket or one piece embroidered or whatever. We're saying, unfortunately, no, we can't do this. We're mainly a business-to-business enterprise. We're very polite about it, right? But this is not something that we can do. We have minimums. We have lead times. And a lot of times people think they can come in and they'll say, I'll go to Starbucks across the street. Can you get it done in 20 minutes?
Right.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
So you educate people.
Right.
So that's a great question.
But what about the businesses? How do you know whether the business matches your core values?
So one of the things that we look for is, so our targets are companies that are from 20 to 250 employees, right, within the greater Cleveland area. And one of our qualifiers, just one of them, is do they have a marketing budget, right? So if Alex, who owns a company with 100 employees, if you don't have a marketing budget, an HR budget, if you're not going, and this is very common, right? I'm not going to go through the,
if you don't
value
the
what we
market.
do. And I'm going to give you an example. So one of my corporate jobs was the stamping world, right? So when I joined, I reached out to the stamping world. And there are a lot of stamping companies in the greater Cleveland area, tool and die companies, that they don't do any marketing. They don't go to trade shows. They don't, provide logo Bertero to their employees. So they don't share the same values. They don't value marketing. And that's not a negative thing. It's just how they do business, right?
There is something that's, I always say this. If you see market as an expense, no.
As opposed to an investment.
Correct.
Market is an investment.
Yeah.
Right? So you have to see marketing.
Got it right on right now.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It is about start a conversation, how you position yourself, how you have to see market as an investment, not an expense.
So one thing that I'm about to start doing here at the law firm is using a questionnaire to ensure that our clients are a good fit for us.
So
you
we
thought
have
about?
we have a 50-point questionnaire.
50 points?
Yeah.
Wow, that's specific.
It is too extensive.
Yeah.
It's too extensive because, when you're sitting in front of a prospect, here's the problem, right? When you're sitting in front of a prospect, you have very little time to make a decision if that's a good fit or not.
Right.
And to be candid, you're going to make, we make mistakes.
Sure.
We kind of get somebody on board, a year later, we kind of look at each other and said, what were we thinking?
Right.
Who did this? Right? And then, you have that situation. So we try to minimize that.
Yeah.
And one thing if I'm talking to a prospect and they come back to, I can get this price for a competitor or I can get it online.
Oh, you see, yeah.
So why are we talking?
Yeah.
Why are we having this conversation? Well, you came to me. No, I understand. But, you're interested. So why are we having this conversation? Because if you want to buy based on price, I can guarantee you we're not the lowest cost bidder in Cleveland.
So let's take that to the next level. Okay. So if I'm considering whether to do business with Fully Promoted or whether to do business with the lowest bidder, tell me why I'm doing business with Fully Promoted.
Couple of things. Number one, you get us. And this is the most important differentiator that you get human beings that you're dealing with, right? You get a discussion. You get ideas.
Brainstorming.
You don't have to do all the legwork yourself. So, Gertzberg Law is going to an event in 90 days. Fernando, the event is going to be a recruiting event. So I'm going to go to several schools. Give me something to think about. So, our team is going to put together a package of marketing materials for you. And here's one thing that we ask of you. Your full-blown, honest answers. Mm-hmm. You know what? We're grown. If you tell us we suck, all the ideas we gave you are terrible, tell me why. Tell me why they're bad. Because you know what? We missed the mark.
Right.
And also by on the other side is, tell me what you love, right? Tell me things that you really are interested in. And what that helps us to do is to narrow the funnel of. So you get us. You get local community work. So we do all of our logo apparel is done in-house. And that's supporting the local community. So these are things that we do locally.
We don't send our decoration style for outside. Mm-hmm. We have the machines. We have the production area.
You do everything in-house.
We do everything in terms of decoration garment in-house.
Well,
right?
Yeah. Well, the other thing I imagine I get if I do business with Fully Promoted is I get the benefit of you going through the EOS system, which, by the way, folks, we had about 10 episodes ago on episode 69, a guy named Ron Kaminsky, and he is an EOS implementer.
That's wonderful.
So if you want to learn a little bit more about what Fernando and Christina are talking about, that's a good one. This I will. So bringing it back around.
Which episode was that?
69. And Ron Kaminsky is an amazing dude, right? So did you guys use an implementer for your?
No.
So if you ever think about it, he's your guy. But what I know about Gino Wickman and about his work, and there are now, he's got an army across America of EOS, his entrepreneurial operating system. And there are just these armies of implementers whose entire job it is to go into businesses and help them implement the EOS system. But you don't need to have one. And obviously you guys didn't use one. But if you have generated your business model and your direction and your culture by following an EOS process, that's a reason for me to do business with you. Because I know that you're not just out there just to make money.
Nope.
You're out there because you are in the people business, in the creation business, and you care a lot more about making me happy than you do about just making a buck.
Absolutely. It's much more complex, and that shows who we are.
Right.
So, everything that we do, this is our life.
Right.
And how long have you been in this business?
7 years.
7 years.
7 years. Yes. So this is our life. So our kids are older. It is the two of us. We work together. There is only one way to be successful: is doing what you do and doing well.
Yeah.
Right. If you don't do well, bye.
Yeah.
You don't be all this time being.
So, guys, we have to have Molly an abbreviated lightning round session because at 6:30 I'm going to turn into a pumpkin, and Tiffany's going to pick me up because we have to go to this thing. So, are you guys ready for your lightning round questions?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Far away.
Molly.
Yes, Alex.
I'm going to have 2 lightning round questions today.
Okay.
How many lightning round questions are you going to have?
I will have 3, but they're quick answers.
Okay.
Okay. What are you binging?
Game of Thrones. Big time. Big time.
Are you binging anything?
Oh my goodness, I don't know. Do I? No, it's definitely not Game of Thrones.
Definitely not. I hear you there.
No, I don't.
That's Fernando time. That's when Fernando just gets.
Yeah, my little iPad here. I got it.
I'm not binging anything, but I just watched a movie that I just love. It was about the triplets. so interesting.
Oh, that's Identical
my
Strangers.
gosh.
Yes.
Yes.
Very good.
Very, very good.
documentary.
Very good.
Ooh, is it on
Yeah,
Netflix?
you need to. No, it's
on one of those.
Yes,
It's on
Hulu.
one of those.
I think it's
very, very good.
very weird
Very good.
and
I
good.
just started binging Billions, and I'm obsessed.
Billions?
Billions.
People
yes.
like that show.
Did you? Have you?
No, I'm not.
Oh my
I want to
gosh.
see it. I do want to watch
Write
it.
this down.
It's really
okay.
good. It's okay. Your perfect day.
Perfect day. You go first. What is it?
So my perfect day is Christina got me involved in working out almost every day. So I wake up at 4:30 in the morning.
God
Me
bless.
too.
Yeah, well, she does on occasion.
Oh, excuse me. No, not at all.
Bye.
So work out for an hour, go home, take a shower, eat light breakfast, go to work. Ideally, that's the perfect day, right? So want to make some sales call, close a couple of deals. And then in the afternoon, deal with, quotes and these things. Unfortunately, those perfect days are very far and few between those. So, and then go home early at 5 o'clock, get home, take a shower, have dinner, binge Game of Thrones.
Nice. Nice.
Before, the April 14th day comes about and they come up with their, is it 8th season? Or not season? It's
I
the
don't
final
know.
season.
No idea.
But that's for an old person. Perfect day.
And
For me,
yours
that
would
I'm
be?
very young. Wake up, go to Orange Theory, go to the gym, go to work, close a very good account. Whatever is that would be awesome.
I love that your perfect days include working.
Both of
I
them.
love it.
I love. We love
Yeah,
what we
love
do.
what you do.
Okay.
Yeah.
And after that,
Here we go,
hang
folks.
out with some friends and have a very nice glass of wine, or maybe 2 or 3. And after, go home, take my shower, and maybe my husband do a massage on my
Oh,
feet.
whew. I thought we were headed.
That would be a perfect day.
That sounds like a perfect day.
It does.
I will tell you, when we had dinner with the Berteros a few months ago, my girlfriend said, I want a portion of the energy that Christina has, and I don't care how to get it. I want it.
I love it. I
That's
love
so
it.
adorable. I didn't know
She wanted to
that.
tap into you and just extract some of your
Oh,
energy.
that's adorable. Thank you.
So I'll defer to you.
Okay. What is the habit or routine that each of you does on a daily basis that you get the most mileage out of?
Exercise.
Exercise?
Oh, absolutely. Man, when I go to that 5 a.m. class,
That's crazy.
it is, but you know what is so
It's from that
good.
wine she's drinking.
I know. Yeah, well, I'm going to tell you, I think I get my energy from 2 things.
Yeah.
My exercise in the morning and people.
Yes.
I am a people person. If you want me unhappy, just put me inside I need to see people all day, talk, and this
Yeah.
is where I would say that's what brings me to.
So I'm a planner, so I like to plan things. So, and she criticizes me for this, that sometimes I plan too much. So I love it, and I get really excited when I plan something and it gets executed well.
Yeah, that's
Right?
true.
So I get real frustrated when I plan something. Like coming here, for some reason, the GPS took us to these back roads. I'm frustrated. I'm going, it's 5:25. We got to get there by 5:30. Well, why is this thing taking us to? So I get very frustrated with that because I should have planned ahead of time and kind of studied where I was going.
Back roads from North Olmsted?
I don't know.
You have no idea.
No.
But it took an hour.
Let me tell you
Crap.
this. He fights with the GPS. So forget about that. Don't take this serious.
So
He fights with GPS.
So your routine is a morning planning session, is what I'm hearing.
Not necessarily.
Or-
I know what I need to do in the morning,
Okay.
Alex. What I get frustrated about is when something happens, when I get into the office and I can't do it because something got in the way. So
Yeah.
that frustrates me.
Yeah.
So I'm ready to execute, but something got in the way.
Okay. All right. And here's the final lightning round question. We're gonna mix it up a little bit today, Molly. We're gonna get a little crazy.
You're a maniac.
Oh my.
Should we leave?
No, you're welcome to stay. This is directed to both of you, or to each of you. So there's a 2-parter. Christina, what is an embarrassing thing about Fernando
Nice, Alex.
that almost no one on this planet knows?
Oh
See-
my God.
See, typically we ask just the person, but this is brilliant. Good job,
Thank you. I
Alex.
want to see how strong this marriage is.
Yeah.
Embarrassing thing about Fernando? Oh my goodness. Okay, let me tell you this. I know exactly.
Here
oh my
we go.
gosh, I know exactly.
There's dirt on Fernando.
Okay, no. I'm gonna
about
tell.
to get real.
I am one of my best, I would say, qualities. I don't know if that's best thing. I know how to read people very well. You don't need to talk. I just the body language. I know how to read people. I get the energy. Now, my dear husband here beside me doesn't know.
Can't read people.
He can, but not like me.
Okay.
So sometimes I get absolutely, oh my gosh. And I kick him under the table and I say, stop talking. Stop, be quiet. We need to go. Things like this. And he doesn't get it. He doesn't get it. And I think that it's not embarrassing. It's not. I don't know if I answer your question, but it can be embarrassing.
Are you saying that Fernando is occasionally socially awkward?
No, he's a nice guy.
I was hoping she'd say
now,
yes, but I think that's what she's saying. Molly.
I know what he's gonna say about me.
Okay.
Oh, here we go.
Fernando, what is an embarrassing thing about Christina that very few people know about her?
I want to see that because he's gonna sleep at the doghouse tonight.
So let's talk about this for a minute.
Yeah, but you could watch Game of Thrones all
Yeah,
night long by
exactly.
yourself.
He's got an agenda here.
So about a few years ago, our mattress broke down. So we decided we're going to buy a new bed.
Oh my gosh, that's too funny.
Yeah.
Okay, you're not gonna tell this.
Oh, yes.
It's going to be an awkward drive home today, Molly.
I might need a ride, guys.
Call an Uber.
Exactly. So we bought one of these Sleep One beds that you control everything in the bed, right? So one of the things that's funny about the bed is if your partner is snoring, right? You can adjust. You can raise them up.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I've seen they show it in the commercial.
Yeah.
Our bed, you have we raise the
on.
foot and the back.
I have the floor here.
Yep.
Yeah. So
Okay.
or I have the mic. So middle of the night I start listening to that noise. So I pick up the remote and I kind of raise it a few degrees, and it has no impact whatsoever. So I raise it another few degrees, zero impact. So I keep on raising it until it's about a 45-degree angle.
And is she still sleeping?
She's sleeping and snoring. Snoring.
What?
And it didn't
Well,
do it
here's
at
the
all.
beauty. I said, you know what? Since I'm here, I might as well raise her legs. So I decided I was going to, and that's what happened. So it's her torso is at 45-degree angle, her legs at a 45-degree angle, and this was from a Friday night. I'll never forget.
This is the greatest story of all time.
So I played tennis Saturday morning at 7 a.m. So I left.
Oh,
And,
my. With her still in that
Oh,
position.
I left her in that position. I said, you know what, that'll teach her not to snore. And I just remembered that when I got off the courts, I looked at my phone. There were a few words I won't reproduce here.
Yes.
I look like a V. I look like a pretzel.
She was at the chiropractor
can't
getting
believe-
adjusted.
No pictures. I can't believe you
No,
didn't take
no,
a
no,
picture.
no, no,
Well, I
no, no.
couldn't.
I
I
look like a pretzel. I said, you never. Okay.
So she
I
snores, Alex. That's
I
right.
So the thing is, I got a feeling, Molly, that there's at least 3 or 4 more that we can hear.
I think she's sad that she was so kind to
I
him.
know.
I was very kind.
Yes,
Thank
you
you.
were.
Thank
Well,
you.
so
Molly.
so let's do this. Let's bring them back
Yes.
for round 2, and we can
Okay.
also ask them the other lightning round questions. Because sadly, I've got to go.
Of
But
course.
you guys were amazing guests.
Thank
you
you.
so
Thank
much
you
for
for having
coming.
us.
Thank you for
Yeah.
coming.
You're amazing.
Absolutely.
So
Folks,
And
listen,
if you want to shop,
yeah,
if you are a B2B,
fully promoted. That's
fully
where you want to go.
promoted in North Olmsted, yes?
Yeah. Is it fullypromoted.com?
you.
It's fullypromoted.com/Cleveland West-Ohio.
Cleveland West-Ohio. And
Sorry, -OH. I beg your pardon.
Yes.
Cleveland
Yeah,
-OH.
Facebook fully promoted Cleveland, Twitter @embroidered
Olmsted.
LMSTED,
Yeah.
and on LinkedIn.
And if you're in the North Olmsted area, you need to talk to Christina about being a member of their chamber.
Yes, I would love
Join your
to
local
bring you.
chamber.
Join your chamber. And we've got so much more that I would love to cover, but sadly we cannot. Anything you'd like to blast out to the universe Anything you're working on? Anything interesting?
I have something to say.
Please.
Whoever, just come see us. We used to have the best Brazilian coffee.
Ooh, you
Not
do.
true.
Right?
You
Not
gave me
true.
some.
Not
That
true.
Fernando
it's
said-
Folgers.
It's Folgers.
It's served by Brazilians, though.
that's
so it's
fine. I'm just
Brazilian coffee.
Exactly. Thank
Yeah,
you.
delicious. It was
And
delicious.
Keeping her honest.
It was delicious.
And the other thing is literally fully promoted Cleveland is the place for you to go to get more customers.
Yeah.
If you think about this, makes all the sense.
I will tell you, too, that I was over there, and you cannot leave their store without the contagiousness of Christina's energy just washing over you. You walk out, you're smiling. Maybe it's the coffee,
I'm a
I don't
hugger
know.
and a kisser. So
You're a hugger and
gonna-
a kisser,
yeah.
too. That's true.
That's true.
But don't
you.
get too fresh with her because Fernando will get mad. All right, Molly, how about you? Anything out for the universe?
No.
Okay. Well, here we are doing this really cool thing here, and we just rolled this out. I might have mentioned this in our last episode. I can't remember, but basically, if you call Mike Callum at this firm at 440-571-7774, if you're a business or business owner, really, at least 10 employees, at least 3 years in business, or these are ors, or at least $1 million in revenue, I will personally sit down with you, look at your legal documents, and tell you where there are holes and where you've got problems. And it is no cost. That's just something that I do, and I've got a few slots open. So call Mike, make an appointment with me. You can go to covermy6.com or gertzberglaw.com and see some information about that. But it is my own personal business vulnerability assessment. I will look at your business and your processes and your documents and tell you where you're waiting to get sued, Molly.
Nobody wants that, Alex.
You don't want to get sued. Certainly
No.
not by me.
No.
So call Mike, make an appointment with me. I'll sit down with you, and we're pretty proud of that. The spots are filling up fast, folks. So get on my calendar. Also, if you've listened this far, it is either because you are one of the Berteros' 3 fine daughters, or one of their billions of friends or customers, or because you really like this podcast.
Awesome. Yeah.
Right? Which means what you ought to do now is subscribe by going to thebest.podcastever.com, or go to our Facebook page and hit like, or go to like any place where you would listen to podcasts, iTunes, YouTube, Spotify, Stitcher, and subscribe through there. Any of those things will learn you. Is that a thing? Learn you about all of our new episodes?
Okay.
We'll learn you. And
We never said we were an English podcast.
No, it's the last place to go for grammar. No, but yeah, do that, folks, and leave a review about how awesome certainly this episode was. All right, Berteros, thank you very much.
Thanks
for having us, guys.
Thank you for
Appreciate
having
it.
us.
Coming
So
all the way
much
from
fun.
North
Love
Olmsted.
it.
That's
And Brazil.
crazy. And Brazil,
Brazil.
yeah.
Thanks for
Love it.
listening, folks. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.